Hey, Turning Point Zone family, we are live with the one and only Kirk Cameron.
Oh, nice to talk with you.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you on today. And
Thank you.
Today is a special day, especially in the faith. We lost a great man of faith, Billy Graham. And I know you met him when you were about 17, when he was doing the Walk of Fame.
That's right. Yeah, my mom was just sending me pictures this morning. So I met Billy Graham while I was working on the TV show Growing Pains, and I had just come to the Lord myself. I was 17 years old, and I was invited to the celebration of him having his star put in the Hollywood Walk of Fame on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California. And I was just learning then who he was, because I had just come to the Lord.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later that I really began to appreciate who Billy Graham was, and today seeing the news of his passing really is sobering, because he's been such a champion, such a hero of the faith.
Yeah, and speaking of being a hero of the faith, I would say you are also a hero of the faith.
Oh, wow.
In terms of, I mean, we grew up with watching you on Growing Pains, and then with Fireproof, you taught us about marriage. You taught us about Christmas, saving Christmas, right?
Okay, yeah.
You taught us about God with Revive Us 1 and 2, and now there's Connect. But before we talk about Connect, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So when you're around 80 or older, can you do something about going over the hill, how we can, do it gracefully? Can you do that?
How do we do that? Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to wait till I get there. I'm not sure. My wife and I have 6 kids, and so I'm amazed at how fast time does go by.
Yeah.
It just flies by.
Yeah.
And my oldest is 21 now, and so
You
it's
don't look
kind
it.
of a crazy life.
Yeah, but you really are a voice of this generation. And with this movie, Connect, that is only going to be in theaters when? February 27th?
That's right. Tuesday, the 27th, and then Thursday, March 1st.
Okay. And so it's about engaging our children in this social media generation. And for me, I mean, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And they're always on the phone. Yeah. I mean, if I'm trying to get the attention of one of my sons, it's like, Mom, I'm watching. And I'm like, okay. Wow. So
wait a minute.
What is going on?
I come before the phone
exactly.
or the iPad. Right.
So this comes at the perfect time. So as parents, what do we do? How do we engage our kids?
Well, you said it. We are the pioneer parents. We are the guinea pig generation, because our parents never did this. They didn't have to figure out how to keep your kids from spending too much time or connect with the wrong people or be preyed upon by predators online. We're figuring this out together with our kids right now. And since we have 5 teenagers at the same time, we gave them smartphones 1 year. My wife did for Mother's Day. She went and bought presents for the kids on Mother's Day because she wanted to celebrate the ones that made her a mom.
Oh, that's
sweet.
Yeah,
my wife, she's incredible, and that's when we started to see the kind of behavior that wasn't so great, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Kids are so glued to their phone that they can actually have their childhood stolen away from them and their well-being, and not learn how to interact with one another in a natural way.
Yeah.
Their creativity can get stolen. So much time is spent there. Not to mention, they can be exposed to things like pornography, they can be connecting with the wrong people, and we decided we wanted to get on the offense as parents and educate ourselves and learn how we can help our kids navigate through the jungle of social media and technology, giving them freedom that will be good for them, not harm them.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie Connect is all about.
Now I have a question. So there's 2 extremes. There's one where it's like, give your kids the devices, have at it, have fun.
Yeah.
And then there's the other extreme where some parents, actually some friends, I talked to, were like, I don't want them on social media, don't want them having phones. Like, it's like the extreme of, send letters or email, or something like that. So what would you say to those 2 schools of thought? What should we actually do? Well,
you and I would probably never take the keys to our car, hand them to a 10-year-old and say, have fun.
True.
We wouldn't do that if we loved them. Yeah. We might say, when you're old enough, why don't you sit next to me in the car, and then we'll practice driving down the street. And then tomorrow we'll drive around the block. And eventually you get to the point where you can drive all by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what we decided to do with our kids. I mean, if you want to take all technology away from your kids, you could try that, but they will be on it the second that you're not looking.
True.
Or they're out from under your authority.
Yeah.
We decided, let's get our kids a phone and teach them how to use it. It doesn't mean that they can contact anyone that they want. We can control some of that. And it doesn't mean that they have to have Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook on their phone. How about we put Instagram on Mom's phone so you can access your account through her phone in the kitchen while we're sitting next to you? And then slowly over time, they begin to make better choices and demonstrate that they can handle the freedoms.
Yeah. And I know there's so many other keys, so everybody go watch the movie. But also, I know for me, I spend a lot of time on my phone. Like, I'm with it all the time. So it's like, how do I even control what I'm doing so I could teach my kids what's the right way? Because I'm always checking Facebook or checking this, checking that. And I'm like, how do we find the balance ourselves?
And that is so important. We've got to lead the way for our kids because they're going to follow what you do more than what you say. You know, if I'm looking at my kids going, get off your phone.
Right?
Would you stop? I don't want to see you on that anymore today. Right? Like we don't.
No, like my 4-year-old actually told my husband, Daddy, put your phone down.
Yeah.
And he wanted to interact. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, how
out of the mouth of children.
Exactly.
So it can be hard for us too because not only are kids addicted to them, but adults are too.
Yeah.
And it's become part of our world. And so we just need to have self-control. And as Christians, that's one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. Mm-hmm. And so I need to say to myself, you know what, there are certain times of the day where I'm just going to discipline myself not to be on my phone or on my computer, or I'm going to check my email at this time of the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to find ways to engage with my kids, stay connected with my children, and teach them how to live a healthy life where technology will play a part of that, but it doesn't consume your life.
The whole thing, yeah. And there's a point, and I know in your documentary, there's this girl who had thousands of Instagram followers, but she had no friends in real life. So where do we find the balance of, even for me, like, you know, when people, like, it's birthday and everybody's like on Facebook, everybody sends you a message, but nobody calls. Yeah. So it's like, how do you navigate that where they can connect with people on the internet, but also connect in real life?
You're bringing up things that we all feel, and imagine how strongly our kids feel that way. Because for them, sometimes 9 out of 10 of their friends are on Instagram, and that's how they communicate, and they never get a phone call from them. So I think even more important that we show our kids the value of real relationships by engaging with them and making sure that we spend time with our kids. If you're a pastor, if you're a youth pastor, if you're a teacher, to be able to spend real face time, one-on-one, talking and have deep conversations, not just, 3-word Twitter messages, but real relationships. And that takes us doing the hard work of spending time with them. Yeah.
Now, my final question. After doing this documentary and everything you've learned, how have you seen the impact with your kids? You have 6 of them. Mm-hmm. Some of the tools you learned from that, how have you seen the impact on them?
Well, I think because my wife and I value relationship, we make an intentional effort to stay connected with them. And we're seeing the fruit of that. My kids make mistakes, I make mistakes, but because we're in relationship, we can talk about those things, we can pray about it together, and then we can make choices together. And sometimes those choices are individual for my son or my daughter. Sometimes it's family-wide adjustments that we need to make. Hey, when we're having dinner, or we're going to church, or we're doing this, or no one's on their phone. Everybody's phones go in the basket, or everybody puts them on do not disturb right now. And I even have one of my daughters who recently came to me as I was making this movie, and she said, "Dad, I just decided to tell all my friends that I'm going off Instagram till the summer because I got too much schoolwork to do, and I want to make sure I get all this done."
On her own.
On her own.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, thank you, Lord, that's great.
Well, that's perfect. That's a great example. Yeah. And it's been awesome having you on Turning Point Zone.
Thank you.
And for all of you, be sure to watch the movie February 27th. In the States, right?
That's right. February 27th and March 1st.
And March 1st.
In the movie theaters.
Yes. And so thank you, Uncle Kirk.
Thank you. Great to talk to the Facebook family.
Thanks.